Good afternoon and welcome to our presentation introducing the next innovative product for Google.
In a recent survey, Google ranked second amongst the world's most innovative companies, only behind that of Apple. In the past, Google have created ideas that have been innovative, such as Google Glass, the search engine, and Google Earth. Some of these have been successful, such as the search engine, and some not as much so, like Google Earth and Google Glass. Our idea as a group is Google Taxi, which is a driverless taxi service. To explain this, we'll have Sean on suitability, then we'll be up to Luke to do the business model canvas, and then on to Lorenzo for finances.
Our idea is Google Taxi. This will be a driverless taxi service which will allow those in the Greater London area to get from A to B in just a car. This will utilise the Google car, expanding potential for this service. We will do this through an app service available on all smartphones, which will allow a user to create a profile, then request journeys, pay and access all information. This service is ideal for Google. Not only is it innovative, but it suits Google. They can reinvest in the car that has already brought them so much, as well as creating a new customer pool. This will then allow them to create bigger brand awareness, creating a buzz throughout the city, which will get them more revenue and give them a better chance of being successful with something that is one of a kind.
This is the business model canvas that we created for the Google Taxi. And as you can see here, the segment of the market we'll be targeting is those who want a cost-efficient taxi at the tap of a button, and people who like to travel in style. What makes Google Taxi differ from traditional taxis is that you require a smartphone and a debit or credit card in order to use the service. And primarily we'll be targeting business users who want to get around the city. The value proposition that Google Taxi provides for consumers is a unique travel experience of convenient, driverless and efficient travel on demand 24/7. This is also unique as it offers transparency to consumers where they're able to see where the taxi is at all times and reduce any anxiety that the consumer may feel, as well as match supply with demand, which has always been an issue with traditional taxi models. The customer relationship is primarily automated within the app. However, social media provides the ideal platform to engage with customers actively and build an active relationship. Furthermore, promotions such as reward schemes and loyalty programs will help invent a loyal trust with customers and long-lasting relationships. The channels that Google Taxi will use primarily is the mobile app, which enables consumers and the driverless taxis to interchange with each other, and also the website, which will provide information on the service and how to use it, as well as using email and PR and launch events to encourage word of mouth amongst consumers. The key resources of Google Taxi, there's two key resources, which is the large fleet of driverless cars, which will be necessary to meet the demand, and the technological platform, the app, that is necessary for consumers to be able to use this service. The key activities, there's three which are most important. The first being developing the platform, developing the app, and making sure that its user experience is consumer friendly, as well as managing and developing reliable and trustworthy driverless cars that are roadworthy and that consumers will feel safe in. And lastly, customer support, so providing customer service to those who need it, as this is a new experience for a lot of consumers. It's new to the market. The key partners are local authorities, such as city councils, where they need to ensure that they're acting within the regulations of that city with the travel, as well as payment processors such as PayPal, where consumers can make in-app purchases securely and safely and within the right regulations. The cost structure is there's three key costs. The first being marketing and operational costs, So the costs of marketing themselves as a product through all the different channels, as well as developing the app, which will include costs for software engineers and their salaries, as well as the technology itself. And the third cost is creating and maintaining the cost of the cars themselves. As they'll be at the very top of the technology, it will require a significant investment to ensure that they're also roadworthy. And the main revenue streams are the pay-per-mile travel. So traditionally, the taxi meters would be within the car, but now the taxi meter will be within the server that will be within that app to make it as simple and transparent for customers as possible. They'll also encourage surge pricing, which basically means that Google Taxi will take advantage of when the service will be most in demand and be able to hike their prices to make the most profit.
So now we're just going to move on to the finances for the organisation. Initially we're going to run through the startup costs required. Through analysis of similar companies and the business environment, we were able to identify the basic initial requirements needed in terms of staffing, premises, technology and the facilities. For this, an initial equity investment of £150 million will be needed, which includes a £20 million contingency for such occurrences where we might go over budget. On the basis of 120 office staff, we determined that an office area of 18,000 square feet would be required in order to meet the existing atmosphere that Google adopt with all their offices, which is very contemporary, open plan, creative, and has lots of communal space and areas for meetings. As well as the office space, we will need depots in order to store the cars, but also to have the speedy charging points, and also where we can provide maintenance and servicing on all the cars. These depots will be strategically placed in 4 key areas across the City of London. Firstly, in order to make sure that they're all in easy access in order for us to best service the entire city, but far enough out that we can keep the rental costs on these depots to a minimum. In terms of the cars themselves, we conducted research on the production costs for similar spec electric vehicles from competitors, and we decided on a production cost of £40,000 per car would be accurate. This would be for an initial outlay of 1,000 cars in the first year, to be followed up by 250 cars every year following. In terms of R&D, Google have already conducted most of the research and development for the technology of the vehicles, but we still require a small research and development budget, which will be mostly for the implementation and creation of the app, the smartphone app, as well as integrating the system into the cars so they will best be able to find the fares on the road and also find the destinations quickly and efficiently. Next we have the 5-year forecast. For this we'll give a brief run through because obviously it's very data heavy, so I'll highlight the key facts. Every day in London, 450,000 taxi fares are conducted within the city. Through this, as well as this, we were able to identify our main competitors, being Addison Lee, Uber, and the London Black Cabs. From their annual reports, we were able to gain information to give us the average journey, the average London taxi journey, which would take 17 minutes, would be a distance of 1.8 miles, and cost £11. Further industry examination gave us accurate specifications for the performance of the vehicles, which resulted in each vehicle being able to cover a minimum of 70 miles on a full charge. Now this is 70 miles within a city driving, which is obviously much more inefficient due to the stop-start and traffic, the issues with traffic, which is why 70 miles is a conservative amount, and we think the cars will probably be able to achieve much greater distances. After every 70 miles, a full charge will be required, at which point the taxis will take themselves back to the charging depot, and then a 2-hour full charge will be conducted. During this time, the cars will be cleaned, and there will be a check by the engineers there to make sure there's any damage, and cover a quick assessment of the vehicles to make sure they're ready to go back out and conduct another full charge worth of service. meaning that our cars can be on the road longer. Through this analysis, we were able to give a very conservative estimate of each car being able to conduct 20 to 30 trips a day. And then, because of this, we see it as being a very profitable business. As you can see from the forecast, we do make a loss in year 1, which is due to the heavy expenditure with the initial outlay, but then very quickly into year 2, we start to gain a profit, which then increases quite healthily as the years go on. This, we just completed a break-even point analysis. As you can see, towards the latter end of year 2, we will start to turn a profit, which then increases year on year consecutively. And finally, we have just compiled some of the key data points into graphs to further highlight the competitive advantage from our business. As you can see, firstly, in the top right, compared to the other 2 main competitors, Addison Lee and Uber having 42,000 cars on the road in central London, and Addison Lee having 4,800 cars. In year 1, we will only have 1,000 cars, which may seem like not very much to operate competitively, but if I draw your attention to this graph at the bottom, you can see the potential earnings per car being significantly higher for us than they would be for the competitors. Coupled with the fact that each car can obviously work a lot longer, not being constrained by the human aspect. Top left, we can just see the year-on-year net profit analysis, showing the clear profit being felt in year 2 and then consecutively again. We see an average yearly increase in revenue of 12%, and that equates to a yearly increase in profits averagely of 62%. Thank you very much for your time.
This slide's on relative advantage. For this slide, we'll be comparing ourselves to Uber, which, as Lorenzo said, will be our main competitor. First of all, we talk about the economic factors. We don't, as Google, we have a driverless taxi service, so we won't have to pay any of our drivers. In the first 2 quarters of 2015, a stat showed that Uber paid 2.7 billion to their staff wages, and that's 75% of their revenue just on that alone. So as you can see, imagine there, we'd be making so much more profit as we don't have to pay our drivers. Next of all is our cars can do much longer hours. By law, in the UK, someone that's carrying passengers can work up to 11 hours a day. However, they have to take an hour break every 4 hours. Our cars can do 22 hours a day because they only have to recharge, like Lorenzo said, once the charge has gone. Next of all is that our cars are fully electric, so they're both more efficient environmentally, and it can make us more profit as we don't have to carry on filling up with petrol, and as I think it was at 79p to fill up our electric car. Last of all is the premium self-service. Uber drivers, there's a rank amongst Uber drivers you can see, such as eBay as well. You can see who's your driver and what rank they have. So our cars, as it's driverless, you'll be getting a much better service. You won't have rude drivers, or they won't be getting lost. So it's just a much more efficient service. Thank you.
So this is the viability checklist that we put together to ensure the feasibility of the project of Google Taxi. And as you can see, we found that they're more than capable of manufacturing the product. And this is because of their vast resources and facilities in their research and development. Now, although they're more than capable of producing this product, there are some threats to the innovation. And the most important thing they can do is try and reduce the potential of the product being liable and to reduce the risk to consumers. The most important thing is to try and build that trust up. As it's a new product, a driverless car, it requires a lot of trust from the consumer, and so it's essential for Google to use their resources and facilities to reduce that risk and that liability. And as they do it, they will be very profitable and have a very healthy return on investment.
Just a quick conclusion from myself and the guys. Google Taxi is an innovative idea with huge potential. It's never been done before, like Shauna said, and we'll be entering a new service market. We've got many revenue streams, so it could become highly profitable after the break-even point of the first year. By doing this, we'll be having an increased fleet size, so year on year, just for continual growth. And I believe that although the customers may fear the driverless service, that after a while, maybe a year or two, they'll get accustomed to this service, and I believe that it will become hugely beneficial.
Thank you, and that was our presentation for Google Taxi.